Alright, so this is a ARES amoeba. It's like one of the honey badger types. The difference between this and the legit honey badger is that the rail is longer on the honey badger version, so the suppressor barely sticks out. That's like the honey badger look. This is that exact same version, just with a shorter rail. This one looks more traditional, like a traditional M4 that you put a suppressor on. So it's a little bit more standard, whereas the honey badger one has most of the suppressor underneath the rail. So this was sent out from Massachusetts again. The same guy that sent me his other ARES amoeba pistol. He actually played with that pistol, him and his brother, and they both loved it. Just to recap on that, if you did not see that video, it was shooting about 360 with a .2, and he plays with 2.5, so it's about 310 with a 2.5, which is like 1.15 joules or 1.2, I forget. I think it was 1.2, so it's nothing crazy high. Yeah, it was 1.2. And they both loved the gun. It was shooting 25 rounds a second, which isn't crazy fast, but they told me that their mid-caps fed fantastic. They were using the Speed QB or like the EPMs, the PTS EPMs, and they were saying how they all fed great, and they had a lot of fun with that gun. So they sent me this gun as well to work on. And basically it was completely disassembled. The guy had no idea what was wrong with it, or I can't remember if there was actually something wrong with it. I don't think there was. He just took it apart to maybe upgrade it. I think to switch the trigger, and he didn't know how to get it back together or something like that. It looked like it wasn't used much at all. And the reason why I'm going off of that is because the bushings inside of these old ARES amoebas, because this is the older version, were made of like this cheap pot metal, like zinc. And so when you'd fire them after like maybe 3,000 rounds, they'd start to round out, and you could see metal shavings. And on those bushings, they didn't look damaged at all. So the gun looked brand new. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe they can chime in the comment section. But anyways, it's here. This is mainly built for a semi-auto, higher feet per second gun, good trigger response. This is the older amoebas, like the before Elite Force took over, so you can spam the trigger. The trigger response on this is really good, and you can go ham on it. So this is more of a semi-auto, higher feet per second build, rather than the other, the M4 pistol, which is a great full auto gun. 25 rounds a second on that thing is perfect. This thing's only getting about 20, which isn't bad, but it's better than stock, but it's nothing over most stock guns. But the stock amoeba is like 15. It's really bad. So let's start from the back and go to the front. This is a 3D printed butt plate, and the reason why is because they hollowed it out on the inside here. So this is not the battery that they're going to be using. This is a little bit longer. It's a 1300 25 to 50C. They got 1200 milliamp 15 to 30C or something like that. And those fit in the stock shuts, because he was telling me how he enjoys shutting the stock. So he should be able to shut the stock no problem with those 1200s. He might need to invert the battery and put the battery in the other way. But either way, I had tried one. I just hadn't hooked up the battery, hooked the actual connectors up, and it fit and shut fine. So he ordered those same batteries. I did wire it to Dean's. It is the amoeba stock. Amoeba pistol grip, which is really, really comfortable. These are nice and thin and super comfortable. It does not have the back strap, which I actually prefer these. ARES amoeba body. It is the honey badger, so it's got the cutouts here for the stock to slide in. Charging handle here. Dust cover works all properly. Fake bolt. Extended magazine catch. Plastic polymer body. Some trademarks right over here. The trigger guard is missing, which isn't a bad thing because it shoots so fast on semi. You can kind of put your hand in here and work the trigger if you'd like. The rail here is like maybe 6 inches, maybe 8. I'm leaning towards 6. It's the standard amoeba rails, so it's got these thread holes. As you can see, there's one on the bottom here for like a flashlight or something, but I don't know if this is CQB friendly at his indoor field. I think there's one indoor field near him, and I don't think it allows like 390. So I think this would be an outdoor gun, but you could put a grip on there or something. The suppressor here is not hollow. It's not foam filled. The inner barrel goes to the tip, which is kind of good. You're getting a little bit more barrel length, maybe potentially more range. Barrel length doesn't always equal range, but In some cases it does, or shooting heavier BBs and stuff like that. Some heavy or longer barrels can help with that. It is an aluminum inner barrel. I cleaned it. It was filthy dirty. It's got a standard ARES Amoeba rotary hop-up and a Lonex 50-degree bucking in there. So fairly stock on those. I recommend 2.5s, and it shoots a good 200 feet. Gearbox internals, it's got the Amoeba straight trigger, which comes in the Hellbreakers. He bought that aftermarket because these come with the curved ones. It has a custom motor in here. It is a AOLS can with end bell and the pinion and all that stuff, but I put SHS magnets inside of there, neo magnets. It's the TPA, I'm not sure, because the armature is from the ARES Amoeba stock guns, so I think it's like 20 to 22. I think it's like 22. So the rate of fire is slow, but you're going to get good response on semi. So a high torque motor. We were originally going to go with an SHS high speed, and I put that in here, and the battery heated up, the motor heated up quite a bit, and I don't want to fry these MOSFETs. These MOSFETs are not indestructible, and it's requiring a lot of heat. It probably shot like 28, 30 rounds a second, so it was like right where the rate of fire we wanted, but it was just overheating and wasn't worth chancing frying the MOSFET or frying a battery. So I went with a different motor, and I'm going to use that SHS motor on hopefully a different gun of his when he can afford one, and I can do a BTC in that and do like a 35 RPS SSG so he can have a high-speed gun. Other than that, it's got the ZCI 1601 spur gear. Does not have the bevel gear. I've had issues with ZCI bevel gears, so I used just a steel Chinese one that I had. It is steel. It's not one of those pot metal zinc ones. It's a steel one, and it meshes great. But the spur gear is 1601 ZCI with the stock sector gear. It's shimmed nicely. It's got steel bushings by Lonex. It's got a SHS metal rack piston with an aluminum piston head. Reason why I replaced the piston, well, I just kind of bought the piston, but when I got the gun, the ARES Amoeba metal rack was actually a little damaged because when he put the gearbox together, the piston was canted, and so the gear was actually scraping away the plastic. So it wasn't in the best shape. So I'm glad I purchased the SHS metal rack piston with the aluminum piston head. The compression is great. It's not perfect because there's always air seal loss in the nozzle on these guns, unfortunately. And sometimes it's not worth swapping nozzles because you can have feeding issues and stuff like that. There is a sector chip on here, and I did cut the tappet plate a little bit so that the nozzle seals quicker, just for better seal on full auto. What else? It's got a different cylinder in there. It's got an ICS cylinder with a port on it because the original one looks like it had been hammered and hit, so the piston was hanging up on it. So I just went with a ported ICS one that I had laying around. I don't think I'm missing anything else. The spring is the ZCI M120, and it's shooting 390 with this length, so that's kind of normal. That's what I'd say average. If it was perfect seal, it would probably be 410, but it's kind of meh. So it's 390. We're getting about 345 with the 2.5, which is actually pretty impressive. It's 1.4 joules, maybe a little bit above that. So it's actually pretty decent, definitely for semi-auto use. And if somebody's cheating, you can flip to full auto. 20 rounds a second, you'll still be able to get, hit them a few times. But other than that, I don't think there's any other internals that I'm missing. It's the quick change spring system, but this setup is optimal as it is. Alright, so let's put this through the chrono here. I have it slightly overhopped with 2.5s, which is where I'd probably play with it in game. It's set for 2.5s here, so we'll have a good chrono reading for joules. 348, 348, 347, 348, 343, 345, 348. 348 is 1.41 joules, which is pretty good. 345, 347, 347, 349. Very consistent on feet per second. Very. So, happy with that overall. Let's get a rate of fire reading because I'm not 100% sure what the RPS is. 17.8. So it is slower than I anticipated. But 350 with the 2.5, 1.43 joules. So this thing's smacking pretty good. So this magazine has 2.5s. They are Airsoft Alpha brand, which is what I buy local. They're great BBs. They really are. I have no problems with them. They're a good price too. I think the price did rise a year ago or so, but before the price rose, it was just an absolute steal. Now they're still a good price. I still can't complain, but they did go up like $1 a bag or something like that. So for 2.5s for 5,000, I think it's like $13 or 14. I think it's 14, which is incredible. That is a really good price for 5,000 BBs, and they're good quality too. I use these in really all my guns, and I have no problems with them at all. All right, so let's go ahead and shoot this thing. Now it is pulling a pretty heavy spring, so it's smacking, and that metal piston head on there, it's hitting. You can tell. It's pretty loud. Shimming is good overall. I honestly wouldn't change it. These ARES amoebas, because they are cycle completion, so that piston's always forward. There's no pre-cocking, so they always kind of sound maybe a little whiny, or because it's a complete cycle, it's not pre-cocking, so the next shot is quicker. It's always the same cycle, but they sound clean. I did shorten the trigger pull as well, so it's really as short as it's going to get. And like I said, this is the ARES amoeba that does not have a trigger delay, so you can take your finger and you can really tell it's hitting pretty hard. As you can see, I'm hitting that tree almost every time. And it's probably a little over 100 feet. And it's a hit every time. Yeah, it's got to be 200 feet. Oh, that's nice, honestly. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next video, and hopefully he'll be sending me another gun, so you'll probably see another one on here. So, see you guys later.